welcome to the National Geographic venture as we explore the coastal wilderness of southeast Alaska. We are going to be using all of the expedition tools at our disposal to give our guests an expedition experience like none other in this beautiful area of North America. We will be using our kayaks and zodiacs to explore these productive waters of southeast Alaska. We will be going into the forest on hikes to explore the Tongass rainforest, the largest temperate rainforest in North America. And of course, we will be using our newest expedition ship, the National Geographic Venture, to look for whales and other marine mammals in the waterways of southeast Alaska. This will be a fantastic experience exploring these waterways, learning more about the Tlingit native culture of this region, and hopefully finding marine mammals, terrestrial mammals, and exposing our guests to the beauty that is southeast Alaska.
Welcome to Tracy Arm, not Endicott Arm, but Tracy Arm. We are going to head deep into the arm here where the fjord bifurcates into its terminus, which actually has two different glaciers, Sawyer Glacier to the north and South Sawyer Glacier to the south. You know, its toe hits the salt water, and that salt water is melting it back faster than it can advance. You know, it's still flowing downhill. The thing about South Sawyer Glacier is it's been changing so rapidly that the exact length of it now, I'm not really sure. It's retreating back every year, but it comes from deep in the Coast Range all the way down from the ice cap to the sea edge here. I think it's about 7 miles from the cap to the terminus. The face of it at its taller edge is 250, 300 feet tall, and then equally deep down under the water. Look at all this ice. This is all from calving. And everywhere you look around us, you can see on the rock evidence of that glacier's path. Wow, a lot of harbor seals. It's cool.
And then by the falls, not Hole in the Wall, the other one? Yeah, so to the left of the falls, there's another gap, and then just to the left of it. This area is magnificent for black bears. We're quite fortunate to be here during low tide, and we have a black bear that's foraging for acorn barnacles along the shore, which is not a food source that we typically think of for black bears. So very special to have an interaction between the marine environments and the typical terrestrial environments. We can look in the opposite direction and we can find mammals that belong out in the ocean, out in the sea. So here we have humpback whales, and that's one of the things that makes Alaska so very special, is that we have these interactions between these different animals and these different ecosystems all in one place.
There he goes. We're here today on another beautiful morning at Fox Creek. So this is day 2 and this will be our first landing. So we're excited for our guests to step foot here in the Tongass National Forest. Tongass National Forest is the largest in the United States at 17 million acres. And this is a great place to hike. We've got lots of bear sign. We're going to learn about these temperate rainforests and the western hemlock and the Sitka spruce. Hike up along a creek and see what we can find.
This is the shooting star. This is an early spring flower. One of you, if you look down to your right, you'll see a chocolate lily. It's a fly-pollinated lily, and so it kind of smells like what flies like to hang out on. That's a treasure. What do you see? For sure, this, which is bear scat, answering the age-old question. This is something that we call persistent bear tracks. Bears ritualistically make tracks like this to announce their presence in the forest. This is a special spot. This is a place where bear after bear has very carefully placed their feet only in those footprints, only in those spots. This tree has been used seriously and ritualistically. Nice bear scratching tree here. And again, not just once, not one time. This has been used for a long time. You can see how the tree is kind of healed over a little bit.
I love diving in Southeast Alaska because the waters here are so productive, they are extremely rich. It is always rewarding to go down, and there is always very interesting things to see. Kelp, for example, bull kelp is a marvelous creature. Other creatures include, for example, the giant plumose anemones. They are really beautiful, quite large. They can be up to 3 feet in length. They have more than 1,000 tentacles that are capturing plankton for this creature. The bottoms are very silty. It's kind of difficult to film because that silt gets in our way, but it is usually covered with brittle stars and many other kinds. But the top predator in this environment is the sunflower star. It is a giant. It is actually the largest of the sea stars in the planet, up to 3 or close to 4 feet in diameter, and it is an active predator that preys pretty much on everything else, from clams and sea urchins and even fish. It is fast enough to even capture some kinds of fish. They like to dig in the sediment, in the soft sediments, after clams and other creatures. Sometimes we also get a chance to see fish, mostly small sculpins. There is a great variety of sculpins and rockfishes in this area. The swimming scallop is a very interesting creature. It is a bivalve, it's a kind of clam, but this one uses jet propulsion to escape quickly away from predators, and predators could be, for example, the sunflower star. Very interesting. It's always fascinating diving here in Southeast Alaska, and it's something I never get tired of.
Now we've come to the Inian Islands. There's no D in that word, I-N-I-A-N, Inian Islands. And this is absolutely one of my most favorite places at all that we're going to go in Zodiacs, because every bit of water, that's open Pacific Ocean right there, every fish, every humpback, everything that comes into the inside waters only has 3 places to get in, and we're at the northernmost of those 3 places. The reason we love this place is because of productivity. So we hope to see all sorts of stuff. We should be able to find stellar sea lions. We'll keep our eyes out for close-up looks of sea otters. So this is kelp around this little rock, always a good place for otters. Now you're talking an animal that can eat somewhere between 15, 20, 25% of its body weight a day. They eat crab, they eat innkeeper worms, they eat urchins, they eat clams, they eat just about everything. the water. Yeah, I've seen thousands of otters, literally. But to have one out of the water is pretty cool. I think she's pregnant. I think it's a female. I think she's pregnant. She has a huge belly.
Yeah.
And she's very content. You are looking at the largest sea lion on the planet, the northern sea lion or Steller sea lion. Both names apply. And a big male Steller sea lion is bigger than the biggest male polar bear or brown bear. 2,400 pounds these guys can go. I mean, they're massive. When you see a big bull, it doesn't even look like they have a neck. It looks like their head goes right to their shoulders in a big triangle. And the Steller sea lions do growl. Some of you may know the California sea lion who barks, or. These sea lions do not bark, they growl. So that was a river otter. You saw that long tail, but a much slinkier body than the sea otter, right?
Yeah.
Wow, that was a special little treat.
Welcome to Glacier Bay National Park. It is not only a national park, it is a United Nations Biosphere Reserve, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and the ancestor homeland of the Hunahlinget. It is definitely a place that has been filled with change, constant dynamic change driven by the glaciers that make up this bay. Aside from the beautiful landscapes and the scenic vistas that Glacier Bay provides, it is also filled with a lot of life, whether it's on land or at sea. One of those places is South Marble Island, a perfect interaction where land and sea meet. On South Marble Island, we have a lot of nesting birds that like to hang out there during the summer. Birds such as tufted puffins, pelagic cormorants, pigeon guillemots, and even a variety of gulls love to hang out at South Marble Island and have their nests there. Another animal that loves to hang out in South Marble Island is, of course, one of our marine mammals, our Steller sea lions. As you make your journey up north, you may come across some orcas, especially around Gloomy Knob or basically at the entrance of the east and west arms. Here we do get a variety of orcas, especially our transient, our mammal-eating orcas, and also our resident, our fish-eating orcas. So you really never know what kind of marine mammals you're going to come across. You may see some coastal brown bears hanging out in tidal inlets, roaming around the intertidal area, hopefully looking for some yummy intertidal items. So in terms of our coastal brown bears here in Glacier Bay, their population is relatively healthy, and our coastal brown bears here can get up to over 1,000 pounds in weight. They have a variety of opportunities to feed on, whether it's on land or at the sea. One of the most entertaining animals to see here are, of course, the mountain goats. Mountain goats have these specialized hoofs that sort of act like tractions. They love to hang out in very tricky terrain, very steep terrain, so it's always really fascinating to watch how these shaggy-looking animals can navigate that terrain. So Gloomy Knob really provides a protected habitat from one of the main predators, which is the brown bear. One of the highlights of Glacier Bay is definitely Marjorie Glacier. She is definitely a beautiful river of ice. So the last time we got numbers, she stood up 250 feet above the surface, and everybody's always excited to see Marjorie Glacier. One of the things that makes her such a special glacier is that she is a tidewater glacier, which means that the tidewater glacier face touches the ocean water. And so its interactions will be influenced by its interactions with the warmer and more corrosive ocean water. So tidewater glacier, like Marjorie, is constantly moving and constantly flowing forward down the slope. And so it really is never looking the same, whether it's from 1 minute to the next or whether it's from one day to the next. Marjorie Glacier is constantly changing, just as this place has changed dramatically. Here we have a beautiful marriage of the natural and cultural stories that this place holds, and that is why Glacier Bay is special to me, a park ranger. It is unlike anything else that I have ever seen, and I'm sure for many visitors visiting this place, it is unlike many places that they have seen. It definitely has this essence to it, unlike any other place. It has a spirit, and it has this energy that is so strong that sometimes it's indescribable. So I sure do hope that for everybody that is visiting this place, that they find that magic, and they do find that this place is definitely quite special and definitely worth protecting and preserving for our future generations.
Here this morning on a beautiful morning coming out of Chatham Strait to Pavlov Harbor. There's a lot of bear sign around here on the beach. These temperate rainforests are very, very special. We've been looking forward to having a proper walk today, so we're going to spend most of the morning here exploring, photographing, and hopefully running into some larger animals while we're here.
Great photo opportunities here, yeah, just gorgeous waterfall. Yeah, this has always been a really good spot to see salmon. Here in August and September, this is a huge pink salmon run. At this particular place, I've seen personally as many as 9 bears inside at one time, right here working the salmon. So there's still a really good chance we're going to have a bear. We're mindful of that, we're keeping an eye on bear, we're watching. And now we find trails. We find animal trails and we find human trails. And this one is a little bit of both, but it's a really popular bear trail. Now let's just take a second to scan that far shore and just look and see if anybody's come down to the water here.
Today we had the chance to go scuba diving in Pavlov Harbor, which is probably my favorite dive site in Southeast Alaska, and I hope that you see why. There is a great abundance of these beautiful giant plumose anemones, really abundant. They are completely covering entire walls, and it is a great pleasure for me to get close and see all those thousands of little tentacles that they use to capture prey. But there are many other creatures around, including the decorator crab that actually picks up little pieces of algae and other debris and put it on top of itself for camouflage. Really an interesting little crab. But also, today we saw many other crabs, including several pairs of mating horse crabs. They were meaning business and they were very busy right there. But many other kinds of creatures, including different kinds of fish, many different kinds of sculpins and greenlings. And sometimes it's hard to find them because they are so small and they have a really good camouflage. But it's always fascinating to me to see all these creatures. And Sean and I were looking for something special that we know that sometimes can be found in Pavlov Harbor, and he found it. He found a giant Pacific octopus, the largest of the octopus species in the planet. The one we saw today was fairly large, I would say maybe 8 or 9 feet in total length, but he remained inside a crevice. Very interesting creature, one of the smartest invertebrates in the ocean. So really a beautiful place, one of my favorite dive sites in Southeast Alaska.
Please join everyone out on the bow to have a look at this waterfall and an early start to cocktails for this afternoon. Thank you.
Is the local pronunciation, named after a California biologist. And it's a pretty awesome glacier. LeConte has about a 9-mile run before it hits the sea, and it advances about 60 feet a day. 60 or 90. And what's amazing about that is it also loses about that much ice every day. So the face of it stays fairly steady. It goes forward, it goes back. It's the southernmost tidewater glacier in North America, so it's a pretty special place. We will not see the glacier, but we'll see a lot of its children. And look at the water rushing around this piece of ice. This ice is not moving. So it's shallow enough that whatever is underneath here is resting on the bottom, and the inflowing tide, we're just drifting along with it.
Is that big enough to be called an iceberg?
Well, it's grounded, so it's hard to say officially, right?
Yeah.
God, look at that. That's so awesome. Just that blue in those deeper holes there is so intense. Oh, it's a heart. Aww.
So we're in the town of Petersburg, Alaska, one of my very favorite places to visit. It's a small fishing community with deep, deep Norwegian roots. A lot of the Norwegian influence shows up in things like beautiful white buildings with red roofs, with rose mauling. There's a lot of pride here in Petersburg. It's also a fishing town, so we've got a lot of action down at the docks. We've got fishing boats, we've got people cleaning fish, we've got fishermen coming and going. And the town itself is really not based on tourism, it's based on fishing. Petersburg, Alaska is really a photogenic gem. It's just wonderful to be here, walk around with our cameras, see what we find, looking for details, and looking for the little quirks and fun things about a fishing village in Alaska.
At the end of this week in Southeast Alaska's Inside Passage, what comes to mind is the oft-quoted Thoreau, "In wildness is the preservation of the world." And I don't think it's any coincidence that he was looking west when he was thinking of that. The beginning of that quote is, "The west of which I speak is but another name for the wild." And it's truly been a privilege to travel in this wildness and to go home renewed with energy to do a little more to keep this beautiful planet.